to order. George, you have invocation and pledge.
Let me stand up. Dear Heavenly Father, we glorify you and praise your name as we gather here today. We ask that the work of this meeting be a vessel for us to serve the members of our community and you in setting a fiscally responsible foundation for our county. We offer up our prayers for those in need. Grant our leaders the wisdom to protect and promote our liberties. Bless our Bartholomew County Council as they guide your flock with their loving kindness, humility, and clarity. Please touch our hearts with your wisdom so that our decisions humbly reflect your love and we leave here knowing that with you we can make a difference. We ask this through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, George. All right, first order of business is the meeting minutes.
If there's no corrections or on that, I'll make a motion to approve the June 9th
I second that.
minutes.
Any discussion on the minutes? I see you, Marcus. Greg, you good? All right, all those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, new business. Kristen,
Yes, hello.
hello.
I'm Kristen Kirker. For those I haven't met, I think there's a couple of you. I have not been to county council meetings yet this year. So I'd like to introduce Dustin Etchison. He's the general manager of the Grillos in Taylorsville area. But I'm here today on behalf of the Greater Columbus EDC to bring forward a request for a tax abatement for personal property. I'll let Dustin kind of give an overview of the project and what they've got going on up there, and then we're happy to answer any questions.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we got started a number of months ago, and we're progressing nicely right off of I-65. I'm sure you see it if you drive by it. We got paint colors up. We're soon to get signage up. We got the first piece of equipment installed last week. We've got a mighty team of 6, soon to be much greater than that, to fulfill the estimated 150 plus jobs that we have in plan. So making great progress, and I appreciate your time here today.
So the first tax abatement brought forward by Grillos was in 2024, last year, August, I believe. And that request was for total of 54 million, with 40 of that being for the real property and then 14 for the equipment and other installation items. So this request today is for an additional 12 million on top of that for personal property, bringing the total request to $66 million, or the total, I'm sorry, capital investment to $66 million. So as they were going along through planning, through getting the equipment finalized, they just realized there was an additional cost needed for personal property. And that's why they're bringing this forward today.
Will that change the dates from starting, 2 different starting points then? Okay.
No, there'll be no change. We're gonna start full production before the end of the year.
Okay.
Yay. Okay. Any questions for Kristen or Dustin?
I have none last year we were fully supportive of it then, and I have no change of that now. And if there's no further questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve it for the additional 12 from last year for the equipment.
I second. I would add that there are 2 companies. Well, there's one company, but there's two different
Two brands.
Yeah.
2 brands in there. We have given them, and I was part of the selection of this approval of this company, and in my opinion, they're going to be fantastic people
Neighbors.
in the community and helping the community. So I am totally and fully supportive of this thing.
Any discussion? Marcus or Greg, any questions? Okay. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of approving this personal property tax abatement for an additional 12 million signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for coming.
I like the coloring of the building, by the way.
Yes,
Thank you.
looking good.
That was a big debate. so
Yeah.
thank you.
It had to be green, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Rachel. It's Rachel.
I don't think Rachel was gonna.
Oh, we
come
said we
today
didn't have to come.
because we just had to have this on because of
Yes,
we had
because
to
we did.
re-advertise a couple of line items that we forgot to last time.
Thank
So
you.
he had already made
Presentation.
so you
Thanks
just
for
have to
that
approve it.
reminder.
So
So-
basically, the only thing we need to do is approve that amount, correct?
For the grant.
Unless there are any questions for the council, we all heard what the presentation was. I move to approve $44,067.08 to the Substance Abuse Council.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mike. All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. All right, Sherry, I do see you.
Three very brief things.
Perfect.
As you recall, we were here several months ago to talk about the co-occurring house for people with mental health and substance use, primarily focused on people in the courts. And I'm here today first to ask for appropriation of those funds. The second thing I wanted, go ahead. Say something.
No,
Do you
I
wanna go
wanted
ahead
to-
and take that?
do we need to do these one at a time or collectively?
This is the only thing, that's the only thing you need to vote on.
I'd go ahead and do that.
Okay. Trying to find it in my folder.
There's nothing in your folder.
there
It was
isn't.
all discussed at last month's
So it's
meeting.
just for that 250,000. Perfect. All right, do we remember this?
Yes.
Okay,
And
we
then
have a motion.
I
to
got a
appro-
motion for the
And I
250,000.
have a second.
Mark and George. Kim, Mike, any questions? Greg and Marcus, any questions? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. I wanted to introduce Megan Cherry, who will be taking over from me as Executive Director at ASAP. And then lastly, I wanted to let you all know that the state has put out another grant opportunity for matching opioid settlement funds, which led us to a conversation with both the Substance Abuse Accountability and Advisory Committee
Okay,
and the Substance Use Public Funding Board to look at the process of appropriating opioid settlement funds as part of the budget process, rather than us having to come separately. So I'm just previewing you that as part of the budget process, we will be coming to ask for you all to set aside opioid settlement funds for a couple of reasons. One, in case those organizations that apply for opioid settlement matching funds receive that grant, and we won't know that until probably September.
okay,
So if we don't do it as part of budget, it means coming back again. And
I
then,
like this. I like this.
yeah,
I-
and we
We were on
discussed
was it, my dates on meetings, was it
a
last
couple
week?
weeks ago, the Public Funding Board.
And they were supportive of it there, and when we went through it, it just made logic sense
Okay,
for the process. Skip, any questions?
No?
Okay.
I mean, it's something I thought that we should do anyway.
Yeah,
And we
love
did
it.
it the 1 year and it worked well.
okay, perfect.
Okay, that was information only.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Bobby, are you doing the REMC grant?
I am doing the RMC grant.
Amazing.
We were awarded at the sheriff's office $1,200 from REMC in the form of a grant. We have taken the check over to the auditor's office and we just ask that that be appropriated.
Right. Seems straightforward. Motion to Mike? There's a second? I'll second. Perfect. Any discussion? See none, all those in favor of appropriating the $1,200 REMC grant signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same as sign. Motion passes.
We got the thumbs up from Greg and Marcus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I just glanced up there. Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Now the JCC grant, Mariah.
Hello. I'm
Hello.
not sure who this is.
Hi, Brad.
It's a
Is it recording?
It is recording, yes.
Oh,
perfect.
sorry.
It looks like a
Don't put it in your pocket.
totally fine.
So I'm coming here today to request the appropriation of the JCC grant. So those funds are utilized to fund the program coordinator. That program coordinator oversees all the day reporting programs in accordance with the Indiana DCS service standards for the day reporting service standard. Day reporting is a reimbursable program by the Department of Child Services. So in addition to having the program coordinator grant funded, there's also a DCS reimbursement that we receive for services provided for those youth that participate in the day reporting program. Last year, we collected approximately $53,000 for services provided. For historical context, we've been receiving the JCC grant since approximately 1997. So it's been a longstanding support system for our day reporting programs that we've had at Youth Services. Basically, all we're asking today is for the approval of that appropriation for those funds for this fiscal year. Any changes anything that requires a grant amendment does have to be approved by JRAC. And I know that Mark is a member of the JRAC. Is there anybody else on this body that's a member?
No.
But JRAC does vote on any grant amendments that we would request, and it does require approval before we would submit it to Department of Corrections.
So
What does JRAC stand for?
The Justice. Is it Justice Free?
I'm trying to, it's a group that's been there for years.
Nicole, can you assist with that? I can't remember what that acronym means. Justice Redevelopment.
Oh, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Hang on, I'll get it for you.
So I want to make sure I'm doing this math right. So we get $63,631 in a grant, and then we get another $53,000 roughly for reimbursement for the juveniles who participate in the program. So it's
Yes,
perfect.
yes, that is.
But you're
correct.
just asking for appropriation of the 63,000, but
Yes,
the whole encompassing program
yes.
is over 100. Okay.
I got a couple of questions. Does this add any employees to the grant?
It does not. So the grant is for that, but it's been that for, that day reporting program coordinator since 1997.
No, it's for the current employees. We're not
Yes.
adding headcount to the,
We are not adding any headcount to the Youth Services Center.
can you be specifically by exactly how that money is gonna be spent?
It's for the salary and benefits of that role.
For that head count that we've had since 1997.
Correct.
That makes sense?
So is there functions that we're paying for, the current function that they're providing?
I don't understand the question.
The grant is to reimburse us for the current people's function that is being performed.
Yes,
There's no new programs or nothing new.
nothing new.
Thank you.
Here it is Justice Reinvestment Advisory Council. There's a state work group, and then every local county is supposed to have a work group as well.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Do I
No
have a-
further questions. I'll go ahead and approve the additional appropriation of the $63,631.07.
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Kim. Any other discussion? See none, all those in favor of appropriating the $63,631.07 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and I see the thumbs up. All those opposed, same as sign. Motion carries. All right, thank you, Mariah. All right, next item of business is actually a discussion item. We have Brandon from Reedy Financial Group here, and we do have their presentation. Is that something you can project?
I brought it right now too, if you want.
Okay,
It's saved in your
folder,
folder. I believe Jalen's trying to pull it up.
If
perfect.
you guys want, we can pull it up on the Teams too.
Yeah, she's pulling it up.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it the RFG
new client marketing?
Yes, that's it.
How
Got
many
it.
do I need to hand out? What is it?
Uh,
A handful.
you have enough? That would be awesome.
I think so.
I don't need one.
You don't want to? Okay. Would you like one? Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
I missed lunch the other day. I
No,
apologize.
that's okay. That's okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you very much. There.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yep. Okay, awesome. Perfect amount. I can get rolling or I can wait, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, I'd say roll. She'll pull it up when she.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take too much time. This little packet I gave you guys is kind of an introduction to our company and a little bit of the service stuff that we talked about. We had there you go. We had just a brief discussion, and actually, the work we've done for Jackson County for quite a bit of time. We've been with them since 2006, and I think Brian and Greg connected, and Brian's the council member over there, and talked about some of the stuff we've been doing on the Senate Bill 1 changes that are coming down the pipeline. So really what that led to was a brief lunch and then a further discussion to just talk to you guys and kind of talk about what we've been building and how we could potentially help you all in the county here. So just real briefly, what I'll do is just kind of introduce you to us. My name is Brandon Robbins. This is Reagan Eakins. We work out of our Seymour office. Pretty well just gonna dust over some of this pleasantries, I guess, of the company, and let you guys have any other questions. I think I might end up spending a little bit more time on the SCA 1 stuff, so.
Yep. And
Go
let me
ahead.
just pause for a second. One of the reasons why I wanted them to present is because we have the wheel tax. That's been a constant discussion, but we've not talked as much about Senate Bill 1, which gives our body a lot of authority over the local income tax starting in 2027. Correct me when I'm wrong. And what they're doing is going to help us think long-term what we need to be doing with pulling our tax levers as we go through this dip and then come back up.
And to bring the rest of the council up to speed, like for Lee and I, we both met with the mayor last week, be talking about the wheel tax and how it's going to affect us here locally, and what we've been on the discussion for people who's not been on the council. That discussion literally started 5-7 years ago, I think.
With the wheel tax?
With the wheel tax then, was on our radar, but more so now, what if we do something, and if we don't, what the city potentially can do, and how it affects our monies
Yeah.
locally. And we've been trying to keep that abreast of what city's doing, so.
So that's why Greg was like, we need
Yeah.
to meet with these fine folks because they have a model that sort of helps us understand where our taxes are all coming from. So wanted him to walk through that for the rest of
And I
us.
think Councilman Patterson met lunch last week. I was supposed to, missed it.
Leah as
Yeah.
well, and then Mr.
Tony.
London too. So, yeah, and I think for us, it's been, we saw it kind of coming, what was coming, and then we saw the bills merge, and then immediately our team kicked in and just started saying, what's it gonna do? I don't know that the information that was really out there was gonna be as informative as what folks maybe thought it was, or just, when we started talking at lunch, it was very much didn't know what we didn't know. So what we've done, and let me just kind of back up real quick if you want to go to that next slide just real fast. We've got an office in Indianapolis and an office in Seymour, Indiana. And again, you guys can look through this. We're big on relationships. We're big on education, and that's kind of where this started. We really dug in and spent an immense amount of time building models for AIM, AIC, ITA. I mean, every single agency that's out there, we've kind of helped try to cultivate something to give people an understanding in local government. You know, we kind of have a clear understanding of what it's going to be for a taxpayer, but not all the units fully understand what might happen over the next really 6 to 7 years. So heavily involved in AIC. We do a lot of presentations with them. Might have seen a few of you guys at those shows and meeting and passing there. But like I said, I'm going to jump into kind of slide past the next slide. This is more for you guys to just know what we do. But we are a full service governmental financial, you know, accounting through municipal advisory shop. We pretty much do anything that is financial advising for local units of government in the state of Indiana. So, but what we're here for specifically, and I don't want to take a ton of your time, but I feel like we might start having some conversation on some of this, is specifically what our analysis is and what we've been doing for our communities that we serve. Number one is we've pretty well reverse engineered a parcel level analysis by county inside of the state of Indiana. So we pulled a database from the state that has all 92 counties. It was a massive database, broke it down into an Excel file, and then we took how did it work in 24 under the current model? How does it work in 25 under the current model? And then we applied the new legislation to that model in the future. So we literally look out all the way to 2032 in this thing, 2031, 2032 with the tax levy change and the income tax changes as well. So the first piece of it is what's going to happen in SS values, what's going to happen to the new credits that are coming on, and our ultimate ability to collect tax levy. So we've got a really nice model built for that. And it's also designed to where when 25 tax data comes out later this year, we can just drop that in. So it's a quick adjustment. That again, the information, I'm not sure what all you guys have received, but a lot of the LSA data and the things that we were receiving, they were looking at 2 to 3 years down the road. I feel like with the new deductions kicking in, which I'm going to show you a schedule on that in a minute, there was a transition point where net assessed value started to take a bit more of a dive after years 2 and 3, all the way out to year 6. And that's when we start to see our tax levy impacts and our ability to collect our taxes change a little bit. I will say, and to Leah's point, the income tax modeling is actually quite advantageous for the counties. For the most part, almost all the counties receive a bit of a benefit through the income tax modeling because of the way that it's going to allow you guys to levy the income taxes moving forward. That does start as far as you have to pass it in 27. It would be effective in 28. So that's another piece to this. We've kind of developed a model for that. That we actually have developed a model for that gives really good assumptions. Again, until you have Department of Revenue data by county, which to my knowledge, there's only 4 counties in their donut counties of Indianapolis that have Department of Revenue data, which should be coming out soon. Actual income tax data. It won't be completely perfect from that perspective, but based on how the model works, we've used information that's available right now based on census data and average household income data and things like that. So, and we can go over that in more detail if we decide to go down this path. But what our ultimate goal for the counties is, once you see the slide that has a bunch of the different levers that you guys will have to consider pulling for the income tax side of things, we want to be able to show you what rate and what bucket, if you put that rate in there, what would it generate for each community and each unit of government that you now have the responsibility of making a decision.
Do we have to set that rate annually?
You'll have to do it annually based on current legislation, yes. I don't know if that's going to change. I've heard talks of, they're like, man, that's every year seems like a lot, but there's a few reasons why I think that's the case. And I can get into the weeds on that a little bit more later, but so with that, the lit local income tax portion would show on this as well. And it would show your impacts, your net impacts against tax levy, potential loss versus income tax gains. The other thing on here is the HEA 1461. That's that projected wheel tax discussion as well. We can kind of give you a good understanding of what the county would do, what the county would be able to do, low end, high end, and also how that would affect the cities, municipality, towns, things like that. So outside of that, I'm going to jump into a couple summaries. I actually pulled some summary data and a little bit of informative data that would be, if you want to go to that next slide, please. So this is stuff that would be inside of what we would prepare for you. Just it's based on the legislation as it was passed, but without going down too far of a rabbit hole, basically what's happening is we're getting rid of that homestead deduction of $48,000 on every single taxpayer's property taxpayer, their home exemption, basically. That is phasing out. It was at $48,025. It's going to zero by 2030. But as that phases out on the 1% properties, the home properties, we're seeing the supplemental deduction, that bucket. I'm not sure it'll be called that in the future. We're seeing that phase up from 35% in 2025 up to 66.7% in 2031. So again, after 2 to 3 years, there's a transition point where those two cross and you start to see the deductions decrease our net taxable values in the 1% bucket. Okay, so that's what we're finding in our modeling. On top of that, there's a brand new one on the 2% properties. So that's like your agricultural rental properties, non-primary residence, things like that. It was zero. There was no deductions on that, and it's going to in 26 go from 6% to 33.4% by 2031. Now, what we did find out, and we've met with a lot of the legislatures. I actually sat down with Mr. Thompson himself. Like he wrote most of the stuff that was in the House bill that got transitioned into the Senate Bill 1. Those two deduction amounts applied to a 1% or 2% property essentially cap every single property at $3. So the concept seems to be that we're trying to essentially circumvent our circuit breakers. We're trying to, we have these tax caps, right? They're basically setting a rate-based system rather than a levy-based system, which we've been for years, which makes sense because most of the other states in the United States are more of a rate-based system. So we're trying to shift to that. Circuit breaker's constitutional, has been voted on, so it probably won't go anywhere. So it's still going to exist. But essentially what that's saying is any taxing district over $3 just doesn't collect anymore, period. So that's how this system is going to be implemented. They're on top of those deduction phase-ins. They're creating, starting next year, these credits, these new credits. Some of the old ones like solar credits and things like that are going away. But there's a new one for homesteads, for homeowners. And essentially it's 10% of your tax liability up to $300. So if you take every single 1% property, every single home you have here, they get up to $300 or 10% of their tax bill, their current tax liability under this system as a credit. I call it Circuit Breaker 2.0. It's basically a new non-collection of taxes. So that adds up. What we've been finding is it adds up pretty quick and it hits you right in 26. So that's a part of your tax levy loss in 26 in that case. And then as that deduction scale phases up, you start to see a shift in our ability to collect on these types of properties. You will get the maximum levy growth quotient of 4% in 26, but like I said, if we start to shift to a rate-based system, I don't know that they continue to do that. So what does that mean? That means that if you're not growing, it's hard to generate new property tax revenue. If our assessed values don't grow at a pace that essentially exceeds some of these deductions, then we kind of flatline a little bit. So we want to manage that. We want to understand that. And part of building this as a parcel level analysis gives us the ability to look at literally every piece of property inside of the county and start to adjust accordingly. So that's kind of the tax levy side of this. I've got an example on this next slide here of a county that we actually did. Ooh, that's a little small. I'm sorry. You guys have it inside of your book as well. What this is showing is the breakdown for this community specifically, not anywhere similar in size to you guys. I just brought an example picture of what we've been doing. Yours may be more, it may be less. But the top part's reflecting the tax levy adjustments in 2026, and the yellow bar kind of represents what their loss is. And that's in millions. So that's $400,000 in the first year for this community. In the second year, it scales up to 670. And again, it's subject to their growth. If they grow faster than what our patterns of growth are, and we can talk to you guys about what those goals would be in this model, then the damage isn't as bad. But then in this community, they have a local income tax, property tax relief credit. When that goes away under the new system, you can see it jumps from 670,000 to 1.5 million. So that's another concern, which I believe you guys have one as well, and I think it's at 0.25%, right? I have that in my book somewhere, but yeah. So see if you have a PTR. Well, so if you have a PTR, then it would put you in a position. You actually don't have one, as my notes say. But in this case, they do, and that property tax relief is basically a subsidy that was there for this community for property taxes. And it came from income tax. That goes away in the new income tax structure unless a county decides to use a portion of theirs. So in this case, this community kind of flatlines out at about 2 million in 6-year period of tax levy loss based on their current environment. And below that, those are just showing you kind of what assessed value is doing due to the deductions over a period of time. And then it shows you what their tax rate's doing. So this community in particular has a tax rate that grows to about 12 cents higher than what it was originally. So that's kind of how the modeling would look. This is a very summarized version of a lot of data, but it would be very similar for you guys as well as far as what it would look like. And then we jump to that next slide. I'm just showing you again the work and some of the information that you would be looking at, that you would be wanting to kind of learn about. And the whole idea of this is to be proactive, right? We don't want to wait until it hits us and then figure it out. That's one of our biggest things with our clients, is trying to stay ahead of the curve. This is the local income tax portion. This is the one I think that really, really impacts our counties in the state the most. You guys now have a whole different system. So everything you had, right now you have the certified shares that go to your general fund, the public safety, economic development, you have a jail tax, all that's gone. It's a whole new system. In 27, you will vote on what rates you want and where they go. And this is where they're broken down at. So the new maximum rate you can have inside of the state of Indiana is 2.9%. So before it was 2.5 for the expenditure rate, and then it was another 1.25 on top of that for property tax relief. So it was 3.75, I believe. Not many communities were at that. Like very few, I think maybe 2 in the state of Indiana were in that 3+ range. So what this is kind of incentivizing is, and as you will see this, is municipal units that are over 3,500 in population are going to see an increase in income tax, where you guys as counties will have a little bit more flexibility to hopefully keep it the same or maybe even take it down a notch. In your case, the things you see county controlled next to, those are the things that you have the ability to essentially vote on and say what you want inside of your county. So you get a 1.2% rate that goes directly to you guys. I would call that basically your certified shares, where it went to your general fund before.
So you could give us a model if we chose
To
prior to, I'm talking about prior to budget, based on the previous years, what we're doing and what potentially impact everything thereafter.
Yeah, I will be, I can give you a model right now of current information, and then as the Department of Revenue brings data out for counties, it'll get even better.
Do you are you doing business with other counties at this point in time?
Yeah, we've been doing counties, cities, towns, townships. I mean, every time.
Could you provide Leah with a list of what counties so that we
Sure.
can?
I think she's got that.
Yeah, I sure can. Yeah,
do
that's
something?
no problem.
We did, for the council purposes, back, I don't remember, it was 2012 or 2013, but we did some business with Reedy Financial. This is a very complex subject and very forward-thinking. So I would advise the council, well, first of all, we're gonna have to learn a lot about this thing. There's a lot of complication, pluses and minuses on this thing. And I think we need to move very, very cautiously and really understanding what this subject means. And we need to understand from you you know, exactly what would you be providing in this model?
Mhm.
You know, on the front end, detailed level, because we did not have a good experience back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Our, and I don't know that I worked on that project, but our new model now is essentially providing you with a clear and transparent understanding and not to exceed costs. There's no hourly, you know, billing rates that have scope creep, things like that. If we're inefficient in the project, we eat it. That's how it'll be structured. I'll be able to give you, depending on what you guys want to see, a not to exceed quote. And if you guys decide to move forward with it, that's entirely up to you, but you won't see that any further. And I can give you other examples. I can give you contacts to
Yeah,
folks.
no,
that-
this is a very complex
For sure it is. Yep.
subject. And I think that we, as a council, need to really understand what we're getting ourselves into. What are the implications from a lit point of view, as well as from a wheel tax point of view, the whole thing, you know.
I think
Because-
pressing what you're talking about, George, is what we dealt with. It was 10 or 12 years ago when we were talking about the wheel tax, and that's right in our face now that it's a forced issue
Yes.
from the state, and we're gonna have to make some tough decisions. Basically, what revenue we got in our savings account or our checking, and figure out what we can afford and what we can't afford. And I, for one, need more expert opinion than what I can read in the newspaper.
But we need to find out.
And what it impacts us and also the city,
Yeah.
because we drive in the city and the city drives in the county.
We're
same way
gonna need
there.
expert help on this thing, but we also need to get educated really big time
Quickly.
on what the implications are, and maybe even find out, are there other companies in the state who are doing these models, and are they working with this thing? I'm not totally, I don't wanna sound negative, because I'm willing to, and I'm open to listen, to learn, and there's a lot of learning that needs to happen here. But I don't want a sales job and just go by with the first one that comes along.
Yeah, that's fair. So when we're looking at these lit options, just to make sure we're all tracking here, the townships and these municipalities under 3,500, probably including your new hometown.
He's the mayor.
Yeah, mayor of E-Town.
Don't say that.
When we're looking at this, we control their,
Yeah.
they
100%.
cannot control it. It's all gonna come through us.
So they all
Townships.
lose, townships lose their certified shares, public safety going away, all the municipals lose that. Unless you decide to do the 0.4% for the fire protection in EMS. It doesn't go to police anymore. That's not how the structure's set up.
Well, and this whole subject is not gonna be a very popular with the people that we represent either, so that's, not only do we need to understand what we're getting into and how we're gonna pay for it and all that kind of stuff and what the implications are, because this is not gonna be a very popular subject amongst our constituents
It's
either.
gonna be
Correct.
confusing for
And
constituents.
it's gonna be very confusing.
And a lot of those areas, even if we did the 0.4 for EMS and fire, a lot of those are volunteer fire departments.
They're not
Now,
fire
I know we have
districts,
EMS
right.
that's would still,
The township volunteer fire departments do not receive the 0.4.
so where would that
that is,
0.4 be going?
That's see the 0.2% on the screen that says conservancy districts, townships, et cetera? That's libraries, conservancy districts, townships, and then there's another type of district that falls in there, which I don't believe you guys have. And you guys can do a 0.05% for each of those. So you would have to do the 0.05 under that model
For
with the
township.
townships
They
to
would-
make the volunteers.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I would suggest that we utilize some work sessions on this subject.
Oh,
No, that's
Yeah.
definitely.
for sure.
Yeah.
This doesn't go into effect until January of 2028.
28,
That's-
correct. That's
that's
3
why it's
years.
like-
But you know, 3 years it goes so
Yeah.
quick, it's incredible. You blink your eye and we're there.
No, that's why, like, learning about how these impacts now, because the property tax, and I see our assessor back there, property tax changes start next year.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're gonna start seeing a slowdown in those, but they're not giving us a lever for the local income tax until implement
27, you would have to vote on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help me through this, because I understand that's starting then, but we've got a wheel tax thing that we gotta have a discussion in our budget cycle
Right.
a few weeks out.
Well, and that's why like really understanding where our money over the long haul, and which is also why, Pia helping us understand what is our cash position as a county. So we can understand
Yeah.
what can we
What
fund,
revenue,
what,
we can.
what can we not
The
fund?
thing about it, and I share your concern, the good thing about it is that we have been so frugal and we have managed our money so well that we have a cushion that many counties do not have.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we are not cautious about it. We need to continue being cautious about it and figure out. Because this subject is, it's
But if
Very
we're not
complicated.
cautious, that cushion will dwindle quickly.
Yeah,
right.
agree.
So in our goal on the income tax stuff, before the time comes that you vote on that, would be to give you an actual data-driven summary from actual information on the county income tax side to be able to literally plug in the 0.05, the 1.2, and any of the rates you guys want to plug in and then generate a revenue calculation. That's what we're working on right now on top of what I just discussed on these. I can already tell you what your 1.2% would give you based on 25 numbers. The math's pretty easy because your jail tax is 0.2% right now, and 100% goes to you guys. That's how that math will work for your initial 1.2%. I mean, the other thing that you have control over, again, and you mentioned it, Leah, was the 1.2%, the last one there, the fourth bullet point. That's for units of government that are 3,500 and under in population. The weird thing about the legislation is they give you the ability to take 75% of that on top of it. Because that 1.2% generates more money right now by itself than what you get in income tax. Current, all of them.
But you keep talking about the lid.
Yeah,
And prior to the lid, we have the wheel tax,
yeah, we can talk
which
about
is
that
the
too.
one that is gonna bite us a lot sooner, and that's the one that is gonna really have a tremendous impact on us from a constituent point of view. And unfortunately, Bartholomew County has been very frugal and we have managed our money well. And the state is basically telling us, other counties are not, therefore we're gonna force you to do the wheel tax and we're gonna take money away from you from the highways, even though you were doing a fantastic job in taking care of that yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the wheel tax is definitely a tough decision for sure, for communities especially that are rural.
So we need to understand the wheel tax. We need to understand both subject matters, but it has tremendous implication in the future for us.
And we have good state data too to show you what the wheel tax would look like on the low end and on the high end and how that would be broken down. That one's a bit different in how it's treated. My thing too, with this discussion and this whole analysis, if you look at it holistically, if the county has the ability to generate quite a bit more in income tax, is the wheel tax the direction you guys want to go?
Right.
In the future. Now, you might have 2 years of heartburn before that comes in, depending on what your tax levy situation is, how fast you're growing, things like that, like we talked about initially. But within your current 1.75% rate, for income tax, you're going to receive as a county more money in income tax. Your 1.2% alone is more. And the next slide represents the county that I just showed you on the other stuff. They have the same and similar property taxes, or income taxes, and that's what that left side is, all the colorful piece. They've got the lit certified shares, lit public safety, lit economic development, and then the jail tax. With just the 1.2% in this county, they're gonna receive 15.9 million versus 9.9 that they're
And
currently.
the other
You'll be
piece,
able to tell us on a model that, in theory, on both, if we have some heartburn over the next couple of years, not having a wheel tax, what direction we can go in the future with that then?
With the
If
income
offsetting
tax.
that money,
Right,
Yeah,
well,
right.
if I'm hearing you right.
right.
and the other piece that we need to really understand is what impact, we're talking about the county, we have decision-making on the county. However, I don't know what the implication from a city of Columbus will have on us.
They got
Either.
separate, if they want to do it, then how does that affect?
you can both do it.
I know we both do it, but there's maximum and minimum. But
Yeah,
I was
the
trying to
city's,
figure out
the
how that would
city's
affect.
municipal maximums are lower than what the county's maximum is. And the way that the law got passed, as I read it, is the if the county applies a wheel tax, it benefits the municipalities as well. There is a portion of your funds that goes to them as well. There's a calculation that they have in statute, and I believe it was, and Reagan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 60% population and 40% road miles. And that's how that would essentially be divvied up, but
And as a council, I think we need to understand from the other municipality, what impact, whatever decision we make, what is the impact that they will have?
yeah, 100% agree. On the income tax side especially, guys, that's something that you'll have to look at every single unit inside of this county.
See, and basically from my perspective, what makes it, it's not only that we need to learn how this thing works, but what impact do we have, whatever decision we make, what is the
Ripple
impact that we
effect.
have?
And mainly the ripple effect down the road, whatever we do or what the city does, there's always a ripple
Correct.
effect.
Right.
And, you know, and particularly, for example, you know, what impact does this have in the farm community? And as a county, we are farm community oriented more so than industrial oriented. Not to say that we're not, but we need to understand what the impact for the farm community has. I mean, when you put a wheel tax, does that mean that tractors get also, and trailers, and, I mean, what does that mean?
I got a quick question. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can
there's a-
answer.
All of them, sorry.
Yeah.
I know the revenue aspect of it. I think the state is gonna pick up 15 cents per transaction of when you get your plates and everything. What does that, I don't even know how many vehicles and trailers we got in the state. It's gotta be a lot of bit of money that they're gonna make
From
themselves.
handling.
And they're having you do, so they're doing the wheel tax and surtax. You have to do both when you
Yeah,
do
we
it.
We
can't
got
just do
some of
one,
that
you have to
data
do
from.
both.
Okay, all
We
right.
got some of that
Yeah.
data from Danny Hollinger the other day.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
I
you
don't know
have
if
to
you
do
saw it.
both the surtax
Yeah.
and the wheel
Yeah.
tax.
All right.
Yeah,
And-
it's a little different than what it was before, in my opinion.
Yeah.
but-
And are they taking a portion of each
15 cents
Yeah.
total or for each?
for each, I believe, correct?
So 30 cents for each?
I'm not.
No,
positive
total.
on
No.
that.
It's 15 cents per
Leah?
Transaction.
per
Per
transaction.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
per registration
together.
or,
All right, so the excise tax is for passenger vehicles. The wheel tax is for things like buses
Okay.
Is for what? I'm sorry,
and
Mike.
farm trailers.
A lot of moving parts.
Right,
Larger-
same
larger,
thing,
yeah.
only they've segregated them out,
Right.
Oh.
called them different items.
So,
So
but
it's
to his
just,
point, per transaction, so like you and I on our cars don't have both of them. We'll just have one of them.
yeah.
But you can't pass one without the other. So to George's point, we can't just say, oh, this is just gonna be on passenger vehicles, but not anything else.
Right.
They're not letting you do that.
They're just calling it two different things. So for our trailer, it's getting charged, but it's called something different than my
Yes.
car. Got it.
Yeah, and we don't even know what vehicles are included on that. Does a golf cart is included on that?
if it's licensed, if you go to the BMV and
Okay,
get
so it
a
has to be licensed.
plate or a
Yeah,
license,
because it's all gonna be
registration.
paid through.
What
the
about
registration.
UCC? Cause some of them,
What do you mean,
like, some of them, you don't need a license. You don't have to have a license. in
like a
them,
license plate?
But what about an ATV?
If it's
Depends
a,
what, it
Is it-
depends
is it
what the
registered at
commissioner.
If it's-
BMV?
Yeah, the
if
commissioner
it's
really
registered at the BMV,
That's exactly right.
registered at the BMV, it will fall under one of these
Currently, we
taxes.
don't, but if they pass it, then they would.
If they're
Yeah,
gonna be
they're-
driven on the road and not just
Yeah.
on farm.
Well, that excludes some equipment, I think, to a certain extent, but that will include trailers, RVs.
Yes.
Yes.
It will include, mopeds. I mean, there's a whole host of things that will include that, you know. So,
And I think part of the discussion too on the farm side of it is that 2% deduction piece of that brand new deduction that they have on net assessed values, that will bring down the property tax side for the agricultural property over time. But it just depends on how much,
I
compared to a
would
wheel
propose
tax.
that we figure out a process of education in a work session that we can start understanding this thing, and maybe they can come here, or
Yeah.
maybe another company can come, you know, whoever, but somehow we need to get educated and we need to understand fully what are the ramifications of this.
I like where you're going, George. From your perspective, I think and they've sort of outlined it, there's a couple pillars. We need to understand how are our property tax collections gonna be impacted?
Right.
the lit, and then also the wheel tax, so that way we can be educated. So it's sort of like a modeling
Right,
of
and
those
we're
three
gonna need to
things.
have help from the auditor's office as well as
Yeah.
the local municipalities, what they're
Yeah.
doing, what impact, I mean, this is gonna be a humongous learning experience before we can come up with, at least for me, before we can come up with a decision that I feel comfortable in voting for or against or whatever.
And in full transparency, in meeting with the mayor and city council president Frank Miller, they really wanted us to decide on a wheel tax by September 1st, and I told them not gonna happen.
No way.
I said in the meeting myself, I said, just from what information I've gathered from the state and read myself, I said, there's no way I could support one
Right
moving
now.
forward.
We don't have enough
If they
information.
wanna do it, let them go ahead and do
Yeah,
it, but
that's-
I will not be voting in this council to have a
But
real tax.
We need to keep moving forward, educating ourselves, and if we
Yeah.
need it next year or the years after, based on the rest of this, we'll be
See,
informed.
and really, the person that we need to follow is the president of the city council, not the mayor.
Yeah, that's why we talked
You
to
know,
Frank
it
as
is,
well.
it is the president of the council who will be making this decision. The mayor no longer has this decision available to them.
So besides those three main pillars, is there something else you as council members would like help understanding from a financial modeling standpoint? Because what I can do is work on figuring out, hey, what can the auditor's office do for us? Get a proposal from Reedy, find another competitive proposal from someone, so that way we can start having these work sessions. So as we go through budget hearings, approve budget, we really understand where our revenues are gonna be looking like over the next 3 to 5 years.
Right. To me, please forgive me on what I'm gonna say. He's giving us a sales job. And I understand that you're giving us a sales job. I want to be educated, not a sales job at this point in time. And we need to be educated. And
Yeah.
and so as many people that we can get involved that are familiar and understand the thing. Heck, for all I know, even Brian Lauer, a representative, might be one that we need to tap on. I don't know. I mean, I'm just
You're not
throwing that
wrong.
as a,
You're not wrong.
We had a couple attorneys and the mayor and the controller in the city.
and I
Talk to them,
yes,
'cause-
and I'm not trying to exclude the city of
Yeah.
Columbus either.
No,
Okay.
we have to be linked up
We,
with them.
we need to be totally together, but we need to go in this thing with really understanding and knowledgeable and with open eyes.
Yep.
This, not necessarily for me because of my age, but this has a tremendous impact for the future for a lot of people and the well-being of the county.
My thing, for me, going into budget next month, there will be requests that are not just for next year, that have long standing.
Yep.
And
Amen.
I have concerns about making commitments that I don't know that I can
That are,
commit to long term.
right,
Right.
which is why I'm trying to figure out, how can we look at some models? Even if it's not relatively quickly, so we can
Plan.
plan
Right.
accordingly on what we're gonna approve or not approve.
Because we definitely are going to have
A dip.
Right.
before we come back
Yes.
up. And we have to be able to make through that dip.
And don't misunderstand me, Brandon. This is, what you have presented is good work. I understand and it's helpful to start being able to get the wheels running in my head, so don't,
Yeah.
so I thank you
Oh,
for
no,
that.
I'm not, I'm, whatever,
Presentation.
I understand completely what you're saying, and I encourage it, and I agree 100% with what you're saying, so.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to send you any of our references and just let you chat with them about how we've been over the last decade for a lot of our clients too, so.
So I mean, I think everybody agrees with you, George, that we need to understand this and where it's leading us. Okay. Personally, I don't think someone like Ryan Lauer could come in and give us the education
True.
needed.
I just threw
I
that
think-
as a-
I think we
Yeah.
need some professionals, whether it's these guys or whoever else. We need some professionals that are in the business of doing it.
Right.
I just
Model
threw
this.
Ryan,
To help
Ryan's
us through
name as
this.
being, somebody else that we can
Right.
be,
Right.
asking for some help.
And And I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it would be worth inviting some city council people
I agree.
at the same time we
To
get
the work
that
session, yeah.
education. those
Right.
work sessions.
Well, and I'm almost wondering if we do modeling alongside the city, because like the city needs the same kind of data we have, so we can see how our decisions impact
Right.
them and vice versa.
But correct me if I'm wrong, most of the data that they get is generated by your department, isn't
You
it?
know, we're gonna throw a lot on our plate here.
I don't know who else would generate it.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I think it's coming from your department.
I mean,
All of it.
yeah. It's financial data.
Yeah.
So it obviously comes from the auditor's office.
Right.
Yeah. Or, and like the
the-
income information comes from
And
the
the number
Department
of
of Revenue,
vehicles,
right?
and the
Yeah,
number of
and
vehicles and
then-
all that is coming from the county's information.
Yeah,
that
we're
is
on a
out there.
live stream open mic, so I'm
You know,
not gonna,
Long-term,
I'm
you're
not
talking
allowed.
about, George, the data is coming from PIA, and I can see the financial stuff she's supplied us today, knowing our future things that we're gonna face at budget time. Wheel tax will affect us. There's no way I'm gonna change my mind between now and September 1, where I'm gonna agree to for a wheel tax.
Right.
But I think to educate ourselves now on some of this, and we're gonna be in an overload in the next 30 to 45 days.
And well, this is right now, this is the biggest thing that we have in front of us in addition to the budget, but we have a couple other things that are coming due. You know, we also have the ASAP. That was a 5-year contract. We need to talk about that. We have the jail coming due or being paid off. You know, there's a whole ton of things that we need that is gonna come our way, but this is gonna be the biggest one that will affect us the greatest in the long run, and it's gonna be probably the most costly too.
Agree. Agree. Any follow-up questions for Brandon or Reagan?
I'm sure there will be, but not at
No,
the
I'm sure
moment.
that, I know I have some follow-up for him.
Yeah.
I thank you very much for coming, and the
Yes.
equipment is
Oh,
very good.
appreciate your time.
Don't misunderstand me. This has given us, at least for me, the opportunity of really understanding how big and how much learning we have to do on this thing before we can agree to anything at this point in time.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah,
Thank you so
absolutely,
much.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next item is an update on the Youth Service Center, and I'm gonna hand the torch over to Mark.
You know, it's kind of hard to jump one mainstream thinking all this and jump to something else.
You can do it.
To bring everybody up to speed, I think it's been over the last 4 to 5 years, starting with the judges and have meetings over the center out there. It was built in 65, approaching what, 50, 60-year-old building. And over the last month or so, Lee and I have been 3 or 4 meetings with the Judge Benjamin, the representatives out at the center, the architects, and we were looking at initially, if everybody remembers, that we had a 22,000 plus square foot building that was approaching 20 million cost. We asked them, the architects, to go back and with the stakeholders involved to reduce that size and hopefully reduce the cost of it. And over the course of the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've met with the architects looking at, they came up with one just above 17,000 square feet over there. We looked at options of putting it on that footprint there and looked at potentially, as of last Friday, other lands to go back to the commissioners and see if we cannot fit it on that footprint, if there's other county-owned property or traded property with the city or the hospital. We met with the commissioners again today. Lee and I both did. There's 3 or 4 potential options out there, and we're looking at the numbers basically right now and the pros and cons of each of those locations. And we're gonna have some additional meetings, and hopefully at budget time, once we start analyzing, and I know Pia is gonna give us an update, or I saw the paperwork here on the payoff of the jail, and what those payments would be, and hopefully we can understand at budget time what a building we can afford as a county, not only if we have cash reserves, but also what a bond payment would be, because there's multiple moving parts that us as council had to make some tough decisions on where department heads are losing grant monies and other things. And we're trying to prioritize things. And when we were looking at the center out there, we also looked at what outsourcing the cost of detention and everything, all the moving parts you can think of, from the size of the building, the footprint there, what potentially could happen if we build it there, and what the 911 center would look like in 5 to 10 years. We looked at the potential of that building being there for 40 to 50 years after that. We looked at the potential of one of the options was to remodel and put a smaller building there. We looked at every option, and I want to applaud that probably there's been a lot of hands on this, and I'll never mention everybody that's looked at this, and we've talked to a lot of people, and hopefully Lee and I will, after meeting with the group with the architects and the judges and everybody, the stakeholders and the commissioners, and look at our finances at a work session or something during our budget cycle, what our next 5 years looks like and what we can and can't afford. And like I said, a lot of moving parts and some tough decisions by this council. And Lee and I both wrapped our heads around it and figured this would be one of the things that we need to totally understand to bring back to everybody. And we wanted to bring you up to speed. We met with Carl. I thought he was going to be here. If not, that I think I covered everything.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to what you're saying, I think we have the human element, not only the employees who work there, but also the kids who will get the benefits from being there too. So that needs to be somewhere added to
It's
the
been
equation.
discussed. Everything option, I'm telling you, we've talked anything's losing programs, shorting Sally ports to doing this,
Yeah.
to security, to who would do what if we didn't do this. And like I said, we're down to 3 or 4 options, and to come up, we just had to just wipe off that for long-term for this community wouldn't affect, it wouldn't
Yeah.
work.
And I think we need to also think about, like, and we discussed this, like, if we truly outsource this, and we've been talked about, if we outsource this for just 2 years, let's say we built on the site that we're at, and we tore it down and rebuilt, and we had to outsource, like, it's not easy just to pick up the phone and be like, hey, we have 5 juveniles that need detention, can you take them? They might end up in Pennsylvania or, somewhere further. And the cost of not knowing where our juveniles will have to be shipped off to can be expensive. So we're trying to plan, what's the cost per year, and can we manage that so then we can plan based on our revenue?
And basically looked at, probably we're down to four options.
Yeah.
That we narrowed down to, and even talked to the commissioners today. The one option was an original 22,000 square foot facility. It wouldn't fit ultimately there. I won't get into pros and cons of it. It's just a 22,000 square foot. It's upwards of 17 plus to 20 million at the end of the day. Plan B would have been a smaller version of that. And then there was some programming that may have to be cut out, put on that site there, keep that site running, going there. The third one was to remodel and keep part of that site. Then we looked at, there's downside to that. We looked at those options. And the last one that I think we come up with there is just modify that site there, keep it totally operational, and put that smaller version on that footprint. And then come up with a number of what we can afford and go back to the commissioners and say, this is what we can afford and how we're going to pay for it going forward, just as we did the county garage. We sat there and we haggled for a while and said, this is what we can afford as a county moving forward. And the same approach we should take with this, how we can afford in the future that we don't strap our kids with the payment that they don't need.
And you need to, in addition to what you're saying, we need to recognize that even though financially we will make a decision whether we can or not, the management of that is done by somebody else. They have to be a party to what we're saying and understanding why we're doing it and for them to be a part of that decision.
And that was part of understanding what their needs were, what our expenses were, and what we looked long-term. And then with the commissioners, look at what a cost another site would be instead of doing it there, what the cost there. We narrowed it down to 4 options. We'll look at some numbers and we'll ultimately get to that. I want to get an overview without getting into the weeds on it. And I think I covered.
And we need to start
everything.
thinking outside of the box. Just because that's the way we used to do it, that doesn't mean
Totally.
that that's the way that we're gonna be doing it in the future.
And we've had those conversations,
as well.
even with day reporting and other things, not in the building, outside.
Yeah.
There was different
That's where
options.
one of the options, that one where day reporting is not in the building, like, sure, it works now, but it doesn't mean that Nicole can't figure out a different place to do day reporting.
We've looked at those and hopefully we'll have a couple more meetings and by budget, we'll have some recommendations and we'll discuss it and see what we can do moving
Yeah,
forward.
get some direction to everyone by September.
Do we need to also have work sessions on this subject?
We may, but it depends on numbers and then Pia, the same way there. I don't know if it's next time or this time. I know you got the numbers where we're paying off the jail bond and what potential bonds will.
That's the next thing on the agenda.
Oh, well, no, I was talking about on this part too, moving forward to know what the rate is now on a loan, what a bond would be and what our cash reserves are, so we can massage that at budget time.
Yep.
What we can afford on a bond, what we're not gonna strap taxpayers if we go past that, and it's gonna have to create something there. What we can afford with cash or a bond, moving forward to see where we're at.
Maybe I'll talk to bond counsel about that.
Do I know?
You'll have to talk to bond counsel about that. I mean, that gets pretty complex. I mean, I can do it,
A rough scenario.
I can do a, payment.
Yeah, I mean, that's why.
That's, anybody can do that with Excel,
Right.
but I don't know what the cost of the bond is and
Yeah.
how many years and, blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure we
That-
can
that I
contact the
don't know.
bank and get quotes pretty quick.
Well, but you're also
Future
talking, you're
future
also
value of
talking
money.
you're talking public funds and you're talking, how much you have to pay for bond counsel and, all that. It's a little more complex than just going and getting a loan at the bank.
I'm aware of that. I'm trying to look at if it's a bit, 2 million we're paying on the current jail from a $20 million bond from 20 years ago, what that same scenario will look like in the future at current rates.
But not only that, but how will we be making money out of that money that instead of paying it off, aren't we making some money from a treasurer point of view?
On our funds by
On our-
not paying them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're making interest on instead of using cash to pay off the jail bond.
The investment income, I think, is what he's asking about.
I mean, I can talk about that right now.
Let's segue to it.
Okay, so I gave you a small spreadsheet. It's on here. And I also presented this to the jail building forum. And essentially, if you look at where we are at the end of, at the row that says 1/1/26, that after we make our bond payment at the end of this year, we'll have 1.9 million essentially in our balance and in our sinking fund at Bank of Oklahoma, which is more than enough to make our remaining two payments of $1,808,000.
Love it.
So that leaves it balanced right now. And actually, it'll probably be a little bit less because of the interest component.
Yep.
So we'll have a little bit of money left over, which I believe they've already kind of committed to do a project over there. So it'll be about flat.
Okay, perfect.
So in the budget for 2026,
Yes.
we won't have any
Revenue.
need to include that in property taxes. Therefore, we will be able to lower the property taxes for
Perfect.
2026 by the debt service payment.
Amazing.
Which is the good news.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the good news. The bad news is the wheel tax.
Okay, perfect.
But then, same token, we're gonna have to fund a building out there, which in the year after that, then the payment will come back. So it's really trying to keep it. a
You almost
payment that
wish it
we
didn't go
afford.
down.
Huh?
You almost wish it didn't go down, because then it doesn't look like it goes back up.
Yeah, in theory, but we're still saving money by,
Right.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. It's just.
yeah. If we choose to go ahead and pay it off for that. year.
However, I'm thinking about what he said about we're getting to the goal is to get to a $3 Great. Anyways, I have so many thoughts right now. Thank you, Pia. Good news for the citizens. All right, segue to, account. Fund
So we
balance.
gave you a statement of cash as of 6/30/25, and some of these numbers we used to build some of our estimated revenues for, for the 2026 budgets. So this also shows you what some of our ending balances are in some of these accounts. You know, today's the deadline, actually, 10 minutes ago was the deadline for various departments to input their budgets into the financial system. So the accounting team and I will start to review those tomorrow. And we're also working on estimates for miscellaneous revenues. You know, what the guys from Meridi presented, yes, we're gonna need to know some of that information for 2026. But in reality, the way that we budget for 26 is basically the same as what we've done in 2025 and prior year. Because we haven't changed our lit, we haven't changed our wheel tax. Everything for 2026 is the same as what we've had previous. So we should be able to make those estimates. We're gonna be meeting at the end of this month with our DLGF representative. Next week, I will be going to the auditors conference and getting some more guidance on, you know, anything that we need to think about for the 2026 budget. But it appears as if we're well on our way, and we should be able to handle that.
There's a lot of funds.
There's a lot of numbers there. You're right.
Is there any opportunity for consolidation, or do we have to have this many funds? Is this like statutorily required?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Why
we
was
didn't do these just because we felt like it.
Well, I just,
Yeah.
sometimes we create a fund because it was like, oh, we need this one thing, we'll make it easier with the county, but then maybe we haven't used it in 10 years, but it's still
So you're
sitting
right.
there.
We do have a couple of funds on here that
I'm just seeing some
no-
goose eggs.
that need to be sunset.
Yes, that's the right word.
Which
And-
one is that
There's,
number?
well,
No,
there's
there's just a
several.
couple, she
Oh.
said.
There are several. And again, the accounting team and I are gonna sit down and go through those. And then at budget time, we will have the opportunity to say, hey, let's get rid of this, let's move it to X.
Beautiful.
So, for example, there is a fund that was for the State Street Annex project. That project never happened. It died 15 some odd years ago. There's like $25,000 in that. It probably needs to go back to where it came from, which I believe at the time it came from the seeded fund.
So
So we
yes,
just need to move it back
back
there.
to the seated.
It's $25,000.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then also, as we go through budgets, we also will have the opportunity to think about, oh, do we want to use one of those funds that is no longer that active, but has some money in it? Do we want to use that fund for some of our like one-time items?
Oh, yeah.
Or some of our fixed asset items? For example, in the past, we've used the Riverboat Fund
Yep.
to buy squad cars.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't think we call them squad cars anymore.
We have not used the riverboat fund to my
Patrol.
recollections for at least,
Patrol pickups.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been about 5 years since we used that riverboat fund. So it hasn't been accumulating a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some money in it. It's got whatever.
What number is Riverboat?
1191.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, say that again?
1191.
Thank you.
You get $500,000 in the drug seizure force money, which
Yep.
applaud the sheriff having that.
So,
amount of
yeah, I
money,
mean, you
so.
know, are there things that we can make sure that are funded? And by doing so in the 26 budget, does that then set a precedent to continue to try to do some of those things going forward. To again, because you're still gonna want to take some pressure off the general fund.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that we haven't talked about is, you know, we talk about big picture, but how do these things affect your individual funds? Your general fund, your
Right.
health department fund, you know, your assessment fund, et cetera. I don't know where that stands.
Yeah.
Again, maybe I'll learn more when I go to the auditors conference.
Hope you do.
You know, we talked a
By
lot,
looking at the agenda, doubt it. Yeah, I'm gonna open my.
we talked a lot about even downsizing the center out there and getting it around 14 million. And I've got when I look and see that we've got a rainy day fund nearing 16 million, and we look at long-term projects, and I know George, he and I've had lengthy discussions, whether we call it rainy day fund or capital development fund, but we've always known that's been our savings account. And that's where I wanted, I was talking about bonds earlier, looking at what we can afford and what we've got in our savings account to actually offset that for our taxpayers, instead of putting a big payment for this going for the next 20 years. If we got some cash revenue there and we don't see anything potential, we know the 911 center potentially, maybe in the next 5, 6 years, we may have to do something there. And that's a problem with that, massaging that footprint out there too.
Well,
So-
let me throw.
That's a
also-
budgetary thing at budget. when we
Let me
look at
throw
all those.
something also out. The county in years past was paying for the election cost of the city. We changed that, and the now city starts paying for that cost. We asked them either put it in their election fund with everybody else, and there will be no charge, or if you wanted to have your own year, there is a charge. And I think that we need to start thinking about, I don't know how the city's gonna feel about the thing, but, you know, there is a lot of people that utilizes many of the functions that we provide with, and the city is not adding anything to it, and yet they're the biggest users of those facilities, and we need to start thinking and looking outside of the box about those things. You know, whether it's a youth center, whether it's a jail, you know, whatever. I'm just using that as an example. There may be others.
Well, and we also want to look at what our return on investment is on those funds, like what are we getting in terms of interest income and what that's offsetting. Can we borrow against our own funds? Can we use funds and pay ourselves back at a rate?
The treasurer is the one who does that. Well, you were the ex-treasurer, but, you know, you're restricted by law. Isn't that what you can, aren't you? As a treasurer, weren't you restricted in the law how to invest that money?
Why don't you just
I think
look into that?
you've got multiple questions going on here. Can we fund something internally and pay ourselves back?
Yes.
That's a good question. And that was something that we would have to get a legal opinion on.
Okay.
Because while that sounds great in theory, I don't know if we can actually do.
Okay.
In answer
I
to,
wouldn't think so. I mean, I would, but I wouldn't want to pay myself back at a rate that got the money to do it, pay for it.
Right, but also,
But if those funds are in some restricted,
Oh,
but if we're
oh,
earning.
you meant like moving money, yeah. Oh, I follow you.
I don't know if
Want
we
Peter
can,
to
if
pay
we
Paul.
can internally fund it and then have a debt service rate on our property tax bill and pay ourselves back.
Right.
That's where, I don't know if we can do that. I don't think we can. I'm not sure. But does it make sense conceptually? Yeah, I think it would make sense conceptually.
You do it cheaper.
But-
Because it'd be cheaper than a bond.
But
Right.
a lot of stuff that makes sense conceptually, you can't do in government.
I mean, like,
Unfortunately-
if we
Well,
can pay
so you
ourselves
were
back
asking
at
me
the
a
rate that
question
we're
I don't
earning
know what you're asking.
income, cheaper than a bond, but we don't lose the income, is what I was.
Right. Unfortunately, Kim, the government doesn't operate with financial, you know,
Savvy.
savvy on some of those things.
Right.
All right. Anything else, Pia, with the fund overview?
This is great. Thank you very much for giving us this.
Yeah,
Yep.
this helps a lot.
All right, final updates on boards and commissions.
I haven't had anything to attend to, so I can't report anything.
All right. Mr. Bell?
Yeah, the solid waste will be met in June. Proposed budget was basically flat from
Okay.
25 to 26, so that's good news.
That is.
The board is in a little bit of a flux and will be changing a little bit. So we'll see what happens next week.
Fascinating.
Yes,
More to come.
more to come.
Oh,
Anything else from you? You've been busy.
I went to the funding board, you heard from her earlier, bringing that back to the council's, community corrections. I talked to Brad today on budgetary stuff. He's short on one, grants going away. 130,000, wanted to make sure I was aware of that. And I was supposed to meet with Todd on the 911 center, didn't meet him this week, so that's it.
Cam, you didn't, correct, have any board or commission
No,
updates?
Campo did not meet their quarterly meeting and I was out of the country when Parks and Rec met.
Okay. Was not able to attend the health board meeting because it was during the county fair the night before our show. The one big thing, and I think I said this at the last meeting, is the state funding for the health board has changed, so that will have some budgetary implications. Not super great, because what the staff is doing is just cutting programming. Not as much money, we do less programming. So that is one big thing there. Amanda did receive an honor from the state. She's the head of the nursing division. She did get honored with the sort of health provider of the year for the Southeast region. So the state is recognizing Amanda as really a tremendous asset when it comes to the preventive health work she's doing, not just in our county, but helping the entire district. Yeah. So those are my updates besides the ones we've already given. Great. Anything else before we?
Do Greg or Marcus have anything?
Oh, yeah, Marcus or Greg, thank you for reminding me. Do you have any updates?
Only thing I had was I met with the state comptroller, the former, that's called state auditor, on June 12th. Had a good meeting with her, with other officials. And it was really neat. Kim and I attended the Bartholomew County Veterans Treatment graduation ceremony on that same afternoon on the 12th. And that was pretty exceptional to be able to see and watch some veterans that received some help and then were able to graduate from the program, and a lot of former veterans there as well, or I should say former servicemen and women there supporting them. And then was also able to attend the Women's Recovery with a Purpose, which is called WRAP graduation. That was another neat graduation program on the 9th of July. And then went to the sheriff office's pension fund review. A lot of good information and understanding how the pension works for our sheriff's department.
And we're very well funded of that.
Yes, there's going to be an additional request coming in because of some numbers, the way they worked out, and that will be presented during the budget time.
There's no further boards?
Wait.
The only meeting I had was a plan commission meeting, and the business was put off to the next one for continuance for more traffic studies.
Oh, yeah. In the audience, any audience members have anything to bring before us? All right, with that, do I have a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved?
Mark moved,